Hello my friends, and welcome back to the rabbit hole, and welcome finally to my video on my top 5 skincare devices. In today's video, I want to rank these 5 devices not only on my own results, my own experiences, but also the scientific literature. Do these devices have the science to support them? And also, because of who I am as a person, you know that I also want to talk about safety. What devices do I feel most comfortable recommending to you all? Timestamps and links will be in the description box below as always. I do want to make it clear that this will be a video on electronic skincare devices, so no gua sha, no microneedling. We have plenty of citations. I will link them in the description box below, and also today's video is very proudly sponsored in part by Cure. Let's get into ranking. I want to start with my number 1 pick, and it is none other than LED. No matter what, I just kept coming back to LED as the best overall pick, and I'm going to tell you the many reasons why. First of all, I feel comfortable talking about my results with LED, which is going to be something that gets a little iffy with some of the other categories. We'll talk more about that shortly. Second of all, this is absolutely the category where we see a lot of research, and we are not talking about only animal studies. We are talking about well-controlled, long-term human studies. And LED is well documented for a wide range of skin concerns, including acne, anti-aging, wound healing, even scarring, all with a lower risk compared to many topical or more invasive treatment options. You know, if you have watched this channel for any length of time, that my brain is the type of brain that can't just say, oh, okay, so this is a good treatment option because it works. No, I cannot stop there. I have to ask questions including, but why? How does it work? And this is why I love looking at the research on LED. This research goes all the way back to 1967. And with decades of research, we've not only seen what LED can do, but we have a better understanding of how it does it. So a very brief explanation. LEDs emit photons, and our skin can absorb those photons. And once in the skin, this can lead to activating stem cells, activating ATP production. And there's a few more catches here. I'm talking about all of the research that we've seen, but we've seen that research at specific wavelengths and at specific energy outputs. You need a certain amount of photons to see that activation. And this is why it's so important to choose a reputable LED mask. I've seen a lot of far more affordable ones, but I'm over here questioning, are they at the correct wavelengths? Do they have the correct irradiance? There's a lot of factors to consider in order to not just have an LED device, but to make sure you have one wherein it replicates the conditions that led to the results in the literature. Our sponsor's mask, Cure, is the LED mask that I just keep coming back to as my top recommendation. It is designed in accordance with the literature, the correct energy output, the correct wavelengths. Even down to the placement of the LEDs, this mask contains both an anti-aging mode, which uses red light as well as infrared light, as well as an anti-acne setting, which uses blue light. You even have LEDs placed around the eye area, which some devices do neglect for whatever reason. For me, this design allows these LEDs to sit very close to my skin, which again, the principle here is these photons absorbing into my skin, so I want the mask to be as close to my skin as possible. I've tried a lot of LED masks, but Cure's was the first that I tried. This was back when my acne was still pretty bad. Again, if you've been on this channel for a while, you have seen a big transformation happen in my skin, so I was able to see real results in terms of acne in as short of a time span as 2 weeks. And this makes sense because the acne cycle can be 1 to 2 weeks. You should expect to see results in 2 weeks if you are using this for acne. And I love that I can tell you this because I've talked a lot before about how I don't really like to tell you my anti-aging results. Talking about anti-aging, it's just hard. I don't want to contribute to the fear of aging. But I do believe in the research that has shown improvement on wrinkles, improvement on hyperpigmentation. Cure's mask is is also a 3-minute mask, and I want to take you through some honest conversation here. I have been doing LED for 3 years, so let me tell you how it progressed for me. In the beginning phases, I was over here running the red light setting, running the blue light setting, twice in a row, 6 minutes. It felt like nothing. I was enjoying my moment of zen. Again, I got some other LED devices, some of which are 10-minute settings. That was easy in the beginning. As time went on, I stopped picking up the devices that take 10 minutes. It just started to feel too long. I know it's tempting to think that more is more, but remember, it all is coming down to the energy output. These devices like Cures that are a 3-minute treatment, it means it is more powerful in those 3 minutes. The 10-minute masks are a lower output of the light itself for a longer duration. It's the same dosage of the photons in the end. It's funny how this works because ultimately this is the easiest device in the entire video to use. Put it on, sit back, done. But it's a passive action as opposed to active, which everything else in this video will be. So I want you to know that this is very, very easy to use, very low risk. The one risk that I will tell you is if you do use blue LED, that's where we have some concerns about how it may impact your eyes. If you are just using red, don't worry about this at all, but if you do use the blue setting, I would recommend buying some $3 tanning goggles. Alas, another nice feature of the Cure mask is you can, if you want to, use the app to select areas of blue light. So you may not need this at all. If you just have maybe a chin breakout, you can set it down, set the blue lights to run down here, set red for the rest of your face. So yes, Cure, today's sponsor, is my top pick. They would have been my top pick if they weren't my sponsor for this video, but thank you again to Cure for working with me. Absolutely adore this brand. Let's move on to my second pick. My second pick is going to be microcurrent, but we have so much to talk about here. I love using my microcurrent devices. There is research on microcurrent for anti-aging, wound healing, anti-acne, but I feel there's a lot you should know with microcurrent. One of the most important characteristics is that when you buy a microcurrent device, you are rarely going to get information on the specs, which means it is going to be very hard to compare a device that you purchased to the existing literature. And one more thing I found myself really thinking about with microcurrent is, do we really need microcurrent plus LED? You may have noticed I just said a list of benefits from microcurrent that really mirrors what I said about LED, even ATP production. So do you necessarily need both? These are the kind of questions where we don't have scientific literature. We have no idea if you need both, if you get benefit from both. In spite of these limitations, I do still have a favorite device here, and it is going to be the Zip. If you are at all nervous about current on your skin, if it sounds scary, you know, when I first bought the New Face years ago, I got it in and I just looked at it because I'm not somebody who has a high pain tolerance at all. As mentioned, that's why I don't have Botox. Terrified of the concept. So I got my New Face in and just stared at it for a bit. It took me a while to actually use it. Zip uses something called nanocurrent, and if you load up their founder's favorite routine, I promise you, no matter how low your pain tolerance is, you will be able to handle the founder's favorite routine. This is where things get a little complicated, and I always want to be as helpful as possible in my videos, so I want you to know that whereas I described LED as passive, this is a very active treatment option. You will need to glide this across your skin the whole time you are using it. You actually need to load up an app pretty much every time you use this, which I don't love. I don't love loading up apps. I want to be free from apps in my skincare routine. As an app hater, I finally started to appreciate the Zips app because the founder walks you through all of the Zip routines, and they do feel so customized. There's a problem skin routine for acne. There's now a lip treatment routine in here. You have a lot of options, but the entire time you use it, you will have to be constantly using it. So to give a bit of a bottom line, I'd say there's real pros and cons with this. The pros, for me, I've never found another microcurrent option that even has something like a routine for acne. I've never seen nanocurrent routines in other microcurrent devices. You know, some of them are painful to use. Looking at you, Foreo. But the con here, especially when we are talking about these nanocurrent, this very, very low level of current, is you are not going to see immediate results. It's something where you really have to stay committed to it to see long-term results, and it's going to take a lot of time. I do want to let you know how I use this. First of all, I use the zip gel. The golden gel is my favorite out of all the gels I've ever tried. This one stays on your skin. You do not have to keep reapplying it. It is easy to put on and it's easy to rinse back off. And then I use this as the final device that I use in a trio in which I use, and these will both be discussed in this video, the Ajar first, followed by the Eucera from Medicube, and then finally the Zip Halo device, and again, most often, the founder's favorite routine. Let's move on to talking about electroporation. You knew it was going to be in this video. What's interesting about electroporation is that this technically falls under the umbrella of microcurrent. And the idea is you are opening channels in your skin to deliver skincare ingredients deeper into your skin. It's actually based on drug studies in which researchers asked, how do we get medications deeper into the skin? Well, skincare researchers said, hey, what if we did that with skincare ingredients? I grabbed my most recent Medicube device, most recent for now. They've released the Booster Pro and I will review it in time. But this one is the eye and lip device. I absolutely love this. This is not uncomfortable at all to use. It is very easy to use, and as a skincare enthusiast, listen, I just want to get the most from my favorite products. Who doesn't, right? We spend so much time figuring out a perfect routine for us. I want more of what's worked for me. And yet, I do start to have some reservations here. In all truth, this is where I worry about, could people be increasing the absorption of things that maybe we shouldn't be? But this is also where I see some possible risk. Now, I don't think this is going to be as much of a problem for those of you watching this that are fellow skincare enthusiasts. You know what an active is and what an active is not, even if the definition of that is a little tricky, actually. But this is my same exact concerns as I had with the VT Cosmetics Riedel shot. I worry about people overdoing things where too much can be actually harmful for your skin. For that reason, while I absolutely love my electroporation devices, this is a category where I see some potential for risk, and so I feel more comfortable recommending this to those of you that are also fellow skincare enthusiasts. You can be newer to skincare and still enjoy a device like this. Just be careful because, again, what's so different about this from microcurrent is you don't use a specific gel with this, you use your own skincare products. And, you know, this is Medicube, so they, of course, have their own products. I personally prefer to use this with, go figure, peptide serums. She's so predictable. Bottom line with that, I love electroporation. I use it very frequently, probably about 5 times a week, I would say, but it is a category where I recommend it for fellow skincare enthusiasts. Let's move on. My fourth pick is EMS, and this is where we get into some conversations around controversy. This is Medicube's Ajar device. I've had this for a long time now. I originally worked with them years ago on a video about this. It is still going strong, but I have to confess to you all, this is the most intense device in this video. This is an EMS device. Now, EMS is kind of under the umbrella of microcurrent. We are still talking about using currents to benefit the skin. The difference here is that this is a much stronger current than micro and nano current. So remember some initial controversy with this where people were calling it a microcurrent device. It's not necessarily wrong, but it's also not descriptive enough. Here, I have an example. It's kind of like saying you are a fan of Southern football instead of saying you're a Saints fan. I don't know why I went with sports. I'm not a sports person. Was that a good analogy? I think so. Nobody would say that. Nobody would not say their team. You say your team. And likewise, it's important to say that this is an EMS device so that you are communicating not only that this is a lot stronger, but that where it affects you is deeper versus microcurrent. Microcurrent targets the skin. EMS goes deeper and it targets the muscle. And that makes this a very unique device. Way back when I first started talking about this, I said that I see benefit in this in terms of the lower portion of your face. This is where you have big muscles in your face. And for as much as I don't like reducing these devices down to the phrase, a workout for your face, notice I have not said that up until now when I'm criticizing it. It is true that if you don't use your muscles can, droop. And I think that's where the AJAR can really come in. I've used this, again, exactly where I just told you, on the lower portion of my face, and I feel I've seen more definition for my muscles, which makes perfect sense. Now, as for the controversies, there is a study that looked at EMS and found that it depletes ATP. This whole video, we've talked about the benefits of increasing ATP. So is this something that could be harmful for our skin? Well, yes, as a category. But we have to remember that reputable companies are going to do research on their device. They are going to make sure to set it to safe levels. And beyond that, there's responsibility on the customer to not overuse these devices. And for me personally, I don't even use this as long as Medicube recommends daily. I'm using a lot of devices. I may not need the full routine from this device. So the way that I use this is it is the first device that I use. I use it for about 2 minutes, 1 minute on half of my face, 1 minute on the other half. Can I tell you all a hilarious side story related to this? So I like my sharp jaw. It's what I was born with. I guess I just learned to like it. It's a good thing. We should all appreciate our own unique facial features. So I do. And with this device, I noticed that predictably, it seems to firm and tone the muscles. I've talked about these devices for years on this channel. Whichever video it was where I talked about this exactly, I started to get some comments from people who were informing me ever so kindly that my facial structure is not considered the pinnacle of beauty within Korea, at least. And Medicube is a Korean company, so I was getting a lot of these comments from people saying, oh, I don't want to buy the AJAR because I don't want her jawline. Okay, let's all get on the same page here. So no device is ever going to surgically alter your facial structure. It's just not they're not surgeries. So don't fret that this will give you my facial structure. It will not. Y'all can say what you want to. I believe in appreciating our own unique face. I am fine with my face. We are on my number 5 favorite device, and I feel a little strange putting the Eucera in 5th place because I absolutely love this, but based on all of my criteria, I feel this is the right place for this in this video. This is different from the last 3 devices that we talked about in kind of a big way. We are back in the electromagnetic spectrum, which we were for LED in the visible light spectrum, but now we are in the radio waves section. Radio waves have been studied for skin laxity specifically, and the way they work is by producing heat. And while I love this and I feel I've seen results from it, I do feel that the limitations here are kind of coming from the research. When we look at the research, most of it is on clinical devices, namely the Morpheus 8, which is both a radiofrequency and microneedling treatment that is done in office. This video is all about home skincare devices, obviously. So there's just a bigger divide here in terms of this device and published literature. This does not mean that Medicube didn't do their own research. They did. But when we're talking about peer-reviewed primary literature, this is where I feel there's a larger gap. In the research, there's an improvement in skin tightening, in collagen production, in wrinkles. But one of the concerns with radio frequency is that as you are producing these radio waves, which feel like heat, could it essentially burn fat in the skin? And yes, that is kind of one of the reported benefits of radio frequency in the scientific literature, is that it may be able to burn fat, but you don't want it to burn fat in your face. So do you see how this is getting into iffy territory? It is certainly a category where things need to be done correctly. So what we have here is a device where I am very happy with my results from this. I really feel this has done a lot for smile lines for me. And the reason this could make sense is if we are boosting collagen in specific areas, specific controlled areas, we could be plumping out that skin so that fine lines look less pronounced. But it is so important to use this as instructed and not to overuse it. And really, this applies with these last two devices. It's kind of funny. I also bought the body care device from Medicube, which is both radio frequency and EMS in one device. But please, oh my goodness, please, do not think that you can buy this body care device. Oh, it does the same thing as these two. I'll just buy this and use it on my face. Oh my gosh, no, please do not. If you were to do that, you would be risking severe problems. This is made for the body. Body skin is much thicker. Do not use this on your face. And I feel this example kind of illustrates what I'm trying to get at here. I love these devices and this, but there is a big responsibility here to use these as directed. If you deviate from that, if you start thinking, but more is more, right? That's when you can actually see problems from these devices. And my friends, that's it. Those are my top 5 skincare devices. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I will make sure to link everything in the description box, as well as include codes for discounts. Thank you again to Cure for working with me on today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.